Nung 2022, ang lala po nung sentimiento na parang dalawang tao lang ang naglalaban. Ngayon, kung ikaw ay makasara, ikaw ay anti-bongbong. Young people engage with politics in different ways. Minsan, yung mga tao talaga, highly engaged sila. Just not in the ways that are very apparent and legible.
Magandang araw mga kaibigan. This is Kaloy Conde again for yet another episode of this podcast. Tonight, I'm happy ng guest natin ay isang magaling na sociologist, si Ash Presto. Siya ngayon ay nag-aaral sa Australia para sa kanyang PhD, I believe. Ash, magandang gabi sa'yo.
Magandang gabi po at magandang gabi sa mga manonood ng channel ni Sir Kaloy Conde.
Thank you, thank you. So the reason why I asked Ash to to guest on the program is because on Facebook a few days ago, I posted something. I said I'm looking for a sociologist to try to explain to me, this behavior by Filipinos when it comes to corruption. Why it seems, I said, why does it seem like my perception at least, like Filipinos are medyo kibit-balikat pagdating sa corruption, hindi masyadong pinapansin, and yet a lot of us are also outraged online. Pero ang sense ko kasi na nakukuha is that ano masyado ang parang accepted na yung normalized na behavior regarding misconduct ng mga government officials, and I want to understand that. Sabi ko nga dun sa tanong ko, why are we prone, for example, to accept, normalize, ignore corrupt behavior? Parang gano'n. I mean, that's a generalization, obviously, but it's something I really wanted to ask. So that's why Ash, I reached out to Ash. She's in Canberra right now, and I disturbed her weekend just to be on this show. Ash, let me ask you the first question. So you did this report, this study, back in 2024 about what you call the polarization of young people of the solid north. I'm sorry, let me put it that way. The polarization of young people in the solid north, that is the Ilocos region. Pwedeng pakilarawan sa amin kung ano tong study mo in 2024 na tungkol doon sa tinatawag mo ang polarization or yung paano ba ang Tagalog ng polarization? Yung
Parang pagkakasalungat ng mga
pagkakasalungat ng mga oo, 'di ba? Ng mga posisyon ng mga politiko ng mga kabataan lalo na ng Gen Z, but particularly doon sa Ilocos where you're from. Pwede mong ilahad sa amin kung paano to, anong nag-prompt sa iyo at ano yung mga key findings mo.
Yep. Ako po kasi ay born and raised in Ilocos with Ilocano as my lingua franca. So shout out po sa mga tagapakinig natin mga Ilocano. Nung 2022, ang lala po nung sentimiento na parang dalawang tao lang ang naglalaban sa politika nung 2022. So, itong study po na to, published siya in 2024 and meron ding isang lalabas pa probably late this year or next year na another publication from my extended fieldwork. So, nagsimula po yung fieldwork 2022 hanggang earlier this year po, January, February. Nasa fieldwork pa rin ako. So, medyo malawakan po siyang fieldwork. So, meron ako mga naririnig na mga sinasabi ng mga kabataan, especially ng mga katulad kong Gen Z, na para kaming naiipit sa dalawang nag-uumpugang bato. So, yung parang naiipit sa dalawang nag-uumpugang bato. And na rinig ko din sa mga usap-usapan na nahihirapan silang mag-express ng kanilang political opinion dahil nga parang dalawang
Mm.
nagpupugang bato lang. So ito yung tinatawag, at least ko doon sa papel na political polarization. Although medyo complicated siya, Sir Kaloy, kasi merong mga scholarly articles din na magsasabing walang political polarization sa Pilipinas kasi wala namang deep divides in terms of socioeconomic class. So in terms of support for certain political candidates, hindi naman yan nakakahati sa mga nakaalagwa sa buhay at ng mga nasa laylayan.
Mhm,
So kung
mhm.
may supporters si Pangulong Bongbong Marcos, for example, across socio-economic classes naman, meron siya. Wala ring deep political divides in terms of gender. So merong mga babaeng taga-suporta ni um, Pangulong Duterte noong 2016, for example, kahit na meron siyang mga contentious remarks on gender equality. Wala rin in terms of religion, although meron kang
Okay.
mga powerful, of course, religious groups, and so on and so forth. Pero sobrang lalang nakikita natin na parang nung yung legacy ni Marcos Sr. or yung tinatawag namin sa Ilocos na Apulacay, yung legacy
Mhm.
niya, very polarizing siya. So, ibig sabihin, nandun siya kasi posisyon na naniniwala kang meron siyang mabuting na idulot sa Pilipinas or ang kabaligtaran niya, naniniwala ka na puro kasamaan ang naidulot niya sa Pilipinas. And yung public discourse actually polarizes people into these two opposing sides. And the polarizing factor now is public discourse. So I draw the line there na totoo, wala tayong polarization in terms of political identities. Pero in terms of public discourse, ang lala niyan. So I went to Ilocos, talked to different young people, and the young people I talked to had different political leanings. So merong iba, sobrang hard na taga-suporta ni Pangulong Bongbong Marcos ngayon, nung nagangkampanya siya ng 2022, yung iba naman, super support dun sa
Mhm.
kakamping movement. Yung iba naman, parang gumigit na gitna sila. So, tinitinan ko paano nila nina-navigate tong ganun na very polarizing atmosphere na parang, kung ikaw ay makaleni ka, ibig sabihin, anti-Bongbong
Marcos ka,
Marcos
oh.
Senior ka. Not even the son. It's anti-Bongbong Marcos Senior. It's even you're supporting Lenny because you hate the legacy of Marcos Senior. At least that's the
Mm.
reality in
Yan yung binary
Ilocos.
na ano, na ano nila doon.
Yes, yun na rin po. So ibig sabihin nakaka-experience sila agad-agad ng um, parang discrimination, pag-ostracize from their family members, from people closest to them. Kasi ganito ka-polarize yung discourse. And meron akong isang simpleng tanong sa kanila. Una, tinanong ko, anong mararamdaman ng pamilya mo kung nalaman nila, for example, na ibinoto mo si Isko Moreno, who was also a candidate in the 2022 presidential elections. Sabi nung iba, siguro malulungkot, iiyak, magagalit. And then binago ko yung tanong, paano kung pinoto mo si Leni Robredo? Tapos yung mga bata, ang sinabi nila, papalayasin sila, itatakwil sila. So ang start nung difference, at hindi ganun ka-start yung difference kung hindi seen as polarized, opposite end figures ang Lenny mo at Bongbong mo. Pero hindi lang naman po kasi nakakulong dun sa phenomenon ng 2022 elections yung study. Kasi hanggang ngayon, yung public discourse mo in the Philippines, polarized pa rin. Nagbago lang po siya ng parang uri or characteristic. So ngayon, kung ikaw ay makasara, ikaw ay anti-bongbong. Kung ikaw ay makabongbong, ikaw
Ah.
naman ay anti-sara. So nagbabago lang yung public discourse, political polarization. And I think, at least in the Philippines, it's very important to draw out this kind of analysis.
Yeah. That's
Ayun, alam po.
yeah, there's a lot to unpack there, no, Ash. But let me begin by asking you. I mean, you mentioned something about yung binanggit mo kanina na yung isang dahilan nito na detect niyo ito ay yung public discourse nga, no. Paano nagmamanifest itong public discourse? I mean, obviously social media is a factor, but how does this paano to lumalabas?
Yung iba't iba po kasi yung espasyong ginagalawan ng iba't ibang mga tao. So at least dun sa mga Gen Z kausap ko, yes, primarily po talaga social media. And yung mga kwento na very fascinating kasi may mga nagsasabi na ang first na hinahawakan niya paggising niya ay cellphone niya. Walang
Ah.
araw siyang naiisip na hindi niya hahawakan first thing in the morning ang kanyang phone. So literally, social media yung first point of entry mo dun sa information dissemination sa mga kabataan. Quite literally, kasi yun yung hawak nila, quite literally
Mm.
pagkising. But also, figuratively speaking, for you to speak young people's language, at hindi ibig sabihin mag-Ilocano ka, Tagalog ka, English ka, yung vibe, yung
Yeah.
parang tenor, yung tono ng lengguwahe mo. And that can be through memes, or mga kakatatawanan, short posts, mga ganyan.
O
Doon mo sila.
yung mga bagong words na
Yes. At ang favorite nilang topic, Sir Kaloy, ay Bardagulan.
bardagulan. Although that's not necessarily Gen Z lang talaga yan. But yeah,
Yes.
it's
Bardagulan. Pero yes, Sir Kaloy. Sige, sorry.
Yeah, ang isang ano pa dito is that nabanggit mo nga kanina na regardless of kung sino yung kasalungat, for instance, ni Bongbong, magagalit at magagalit talaga sila. Una kay Lenny, then pangalawa, later on kay Sara. So, it seems to me like meron talagang rooted talaga itong mga ganitong klaseng opinion or position dun sa history ng mga Ilocano with Apulacay. Kumbaga,
Yep.
yung ay medyo reductive yung pagsasabihin mo, mga ano yan, mga loyalist yan. But there seems to be some truth to that.
Yes. And thank you, Sir Kaloy, kasi hindi ko pa yata siya nakukwento sa'yo, pero meron akong lalabas na article early or mid next year. Ang title ay Loyalista Mentality question mark. And I've also presented this paper in the US this year lang,
Mhm.
March. So, yung argument ko doon ay yung loyalista mentality, hindi siya kayang ipaloob doon sa idea ng regionalism na akala ng mga tao ay nagdadrive solely ng support ng mga Ilocano for Apulahay and in turn also the family of Apulahay. Hindi rin din siya kayang i-explain ng disinformation.
Oo.
Naakala ng ibang mga tao ay taga-suporta tong mga napakarami Ilocano sa Marcos family dahil mali yung mga alam nilang information at naniniwala
Mhm.
sila sa fake news. Of course, all of those are factors. Hindi naman dinidiscount ng loyalista mentality yon, yung mga factor na yon.
Pero hindi
Pero
yun yung main factor.
opo, ang binibring ang what I try to bring to the fore here is that kind of very emotional, affective relationship with a certain person. Na pag hindi mo talaga sila kausap face to face, na hindi mo mararamdaman kung gaano nila nire-revere si Apo Lakay. Parang ang hirap niya pong i-describe on paper talaga. I'll give you one example, Sir Kaloy. I just watched the recent Ferdinand E. Marcos lecture series.
Mhm.
I think that was last Friday, if I'm not mistaken, sa MMSU. Um, and after mag-lecture ng isang speaker, kumanta siya in Ilocano.
Okay.
Pero hindi ko ma-explain bilang insider doon sa kultura kung gaano yon ka lighthearted for me. So it was such a lighthearted moment na meron kang speaker, matanda siya. So meron siyang talagang personal experience and meron talaga siyang kwentong buhay na nakasalamuhan niya
Mhm.
yung matanda, si Apulahay. Tapos after nun, kakanta siya as if you're just, parang lola mo talaga siya.
Mhm. Mhm.
Na kahit anong sabihin ng ibang tao, kung meron kang lola, kakanta siya in Ilocano, naiintindihan mo siya, sinasabayan mo siya in your own language na kumakanta. Yung affective dimension niya, which I myself, of course, also feel kasi alam ko tong mga kantang to.
Mhm.
Parang,
Mhm.
ayun.
May
So,
connection.
yes. So, TLDR, Sir Kaloy, the general train of argument is Philippine politics has always been emotional. And I have to make myself clear here. I don't mean emotional in a condescending, problematic manner. Kasi meron ding mga emotions that are productive for good political life. So
Yeah.
for example, hope is also an emotion. At nakita natin yung ganong emotion, minobilize din siya ng 2022. But also loyalty is also very effective.
Or nostalgia for that matter.
So, nostalgia, yes, is also very effective. So, tagapin natin na ganito talaga mag-relate in terms of politics yung mga Pilipino.
Pero
Effective
Ash,
siya.
I'm sorry.
Yes, sir.
Pero there must be some practical connections here. To explain itong affinity na to ng mga Ilocano kay
Yep.
sa Marcoses, right? I mean, if you look at, and I'm guessing here actually, I don't have empirical data to support this, but I'm guessing here now. If you look at all the regions in the Philippines during the Marcos dictatorship, during or even before that, sila talaga yung nag-benefit ng todo sa largesse ng government at saka sa goodwill ng government. And to the point na, 'di ba, dati pag taga Ilocos ka, wow, you have all these good things going for you. So, I guess that that encourages or that cultivates a certain affinity to the Marcoses or to whoever, regardless of what happened afterwards, right? I mean, does that make sense?
Yep. Um, pero ho, dahil etong fieldwork mo na to ay ongoing siya until early this year, At nakakausap din po ako ng hindi Gen Z, kundi mga matatandang loyalista ng mga Marcos. And they themselves will say that they are actually Marcos loyalists. Pag pinapakwento mo sila, ano yung mga rason kung bakit sila hanggang ngayon taga-suporta pa rin, hindi yung mga big infra projects, hindi yung mga quote-unquote development projects ni Apulaca yung una nilang babanggitin. And hindi rin yung mga purported benefits to the Ilocos region ang una nilang babanggitin. Ang una nilang babanggitin yung personal experience of them standing in line kapag birthday ni Apulahay. Kapag
Yeah.
September 13 na, ayan na, magpapaulan na sila ng mga parang confetti. Ay, yung mga confetti na yon ay mga coupons. And then, pupunta ka sa store, yung mga coupons na yon na ilalaglag through helicopters, i-change mo for um, soda
Uh-huh,
or
uh-huh.
chichirya. Tapos, meron pa silang mga and I am constraining myself kasi I don't want to reveal too much kasi this paper is yet to be written. Pero I've seen some photos. They've kept some memorabilia of actual plates. And set yon plates, baso, at may nakamarka dun sa likod nung plato na Ferdinand E. Marcos, and then September 13, and then a specific year na birthday celebration niya. So, ang gagawin doon, pipila, mga napakarami mga Ilocano, may mga naluto ng mga pagkain, sa'yo na yung plato. So, they keep it.
Wow.
Tapos decades and decades old na yung plato. Tapos pag nakita mo talaga yung plato, para marirealize mo talaga na there's something here. Na para
Mm.
hindi lang sila blind followers. Kasi very affective yung kwento nila. Tapos very vivid yung memory nila na kung sino yung kasama nila, ano yung circumstances, kung bakit sila napunta at nakapila doon, sino nagyaya, nasa na yun ngayon, the kinds of relationships they built with that person na kasama nila. Tapos very vivid talaga to the point na magkahawak-hawak daw nung nanay niya, nung bata pa siya yung kamay niya, pipila sila doon. And isa yun sa mga favorite moments niya of their family.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and hindi lang, napakaraya po, Sir Kaloy. So,
I'm sure marami yan kasi effective talaga yung I don't want to call it myth making but legend making ng
yes.
Marcos government.
Ang, and I myself experienced this, although, of course, imposible ma-experience ko to, pero meron akong nakita ko kung ano yung point of view nung mga Ilocano noon kasi I stood there dun sa Plaza ng Batak. So dun sa
Mhm.
Plaza ng Batak kasi yung mansion nila nandun. Tapos makikita mo what 1, 2 kilometers hindi naman. Parang up to a kilometer away. Parang kahit nasa malayo ka nakatayo, malawak yung espasyo. Kapag birthday daw ni Apo Lahay, tatayo siya dun sa veranda, magwi-wave sa mga tao, kahit ang layo-layo mo, makikita mo siya. And I stood there, dun sa pinakamalayong part na pwede mo siyang makita. Ngayon, may rotonda na dun ngayon. Pero noon, blanco yun. So, ibig sabihin, napakaraming tao, pwedeng tumayo doon, mag-wave si Apo Lahay, makikita mo siya. And let's face it, Sir Kaloy, not every one of us will have the chance to be face-to-face and to see a president in real life.
That's true, and I think well, I remember when I was in elementary in Mindanao. I remember the Nutriban thing. So we had that in when I was in elementary grade, and it was always kind of connected to the Marcos administration, specifically to Imelda, because Imelda wanted us to be healthy, so that's why she gave us all these Nutriban things. So I mean that goes to the point, your point about itong mga ginagawa ng mga Marcos is talaga nakaka-develop talaga ng connection. Obviously, there's a method to that. There's some there's motivations for them to do that, but I don't think we have that much time to delve into all of that in this episode. But can you let's pivot a little bit back to your 2024 polarizing study, because in it you also talked about creative engagements, how
Yes.
the new youth, the new Gen Zs are trying to devise ways to try to express themselves and perhaps influence, how politics, at least in Ilocos, might might shape up in the coming years.
Yep. Um, what I try to argue there, Sir Kaloy, is that young people engage with politics in different ways. So, ang metaphor ko dyan ay para siyang spectrum. So, doon sa isang side ng spectrum, meron kang feigned apathy. And I-explain ko mamaya kung bakit feigned apathy yung itinawag ko doon. And then dun sa kabilang side naman ng
Wait, wait,
spectrum,
wait,
meron
wait. What did you say? Feigned as in
pain as in
pakita?
parang kunyaring apathy,
Kunyaring
parang
apathy,
wala kang
okay.
pake.
Wala kang
Um, Kunyari parang wapakels ka, pero doon sa, on the other hand, meron ding mga overtly engaged. So, overt engagement, yung nasa kabilang side ng spectrum, and then meron kang feigned apathy sa kabilang side. Yung mga gumigit na yung mga creative forms of engagement. So, yung personal at professional at scholarly interest ko doon ay nandun sa creative engagement.
Mhm.
Um, and I'll give one example of one person
Please.
who actually threads the line between all of these different kinds of engagement dun sa spectrum. Bata siya. May
Okay.
posisyon yung magulang niya. At hindi ko na sasabihin ko anong posisyon just to uh, put an extra layer of protection. Pero basahin niyo yung papel dun sa ating
Yeah.
mga tagapakinig kung interesado po kayo. Bata siya, may posisyon yung magulang niya, sinabihan siya ng magulang niya na alam niya kung ano yung mga threats na kinakaharap ng mga batang sumusuporta kay Lenny. So, wag siyang magsasalita. So, sabi niya sa mga magulang niya, wala naman akong pake dyan eh. Hindi naman ako nagpa-participate sa politics. Like, I don't care. Pero actually, yung baon niya, sinesave niya. Hindi siya nagre-recess, hindi siya kumakain sa school kasi yung baon niya pinapang-donate niya dun sa kahamping movement at campaign. So,
Wow.
meron kang feigned apathy, pero meron kang creative engagement. So, outwardly, parang hindi ka politically engaged, pero hindi alam ng mga tao, ikaw pala yung isa sa mga nag-drive nung campaign. Hindi pa natatapos doon. Meron din siyang ibang mga accounts. Hindi niya ginagamit yung sarili niyang pangalan sa social media. Meron siyang mga social media accounts na iba yung pangalan at iba yung picture. Tapos doon siya very active, na very engaged, na nakikipag-away talaga sa social media. Nag-upload ng napakaraming mga articles, nag-fact check, etc., etc. So, sa isang sa isang lived experience ng isang tao lang na yun, makikita mo na nag-vacillate yung political engagement ng mga kabataan from feigned apathy, creative engagement, overt engagement, and all of those can happen at the same time in the same space with just one person.
Wow. I mean, obviously, that's because when you look probably closer doon sa issue na yan, medyo restrictive yung political landscape doon. So
Yep.
that's why these young people are forced by
Yep.
forced to really find devise new
Yep.
ways to try to express themselves.
Yep. Yes, circular. It is actually one of the last few sentences that I put down just to end the journal article. So, ang nasa isip ng mga tao, ay mga nasa Ilocos, mga lahat ng mga yan, mga loyalista, mga Marcos supporters. So, parang meron kang certain form of dismissal dun sa political
Mhm.
um, expression at engagement ng mga taga Ilocos, lalo ng mga kabataan. And those kinds of dismissals are coming from different ends. So, sa mga matatanda, mga bata kayo, wala kayong alam. Sa mga hindi taga Ilocos, mga Marcos loyalist lang naman kayo. Pero kung titignan mo ng mabuti, doon sa space na 'to na akala mo hindi nag-iisip yung mga tao at hindi sila engaged, napaka-creative actually nung forms of engagement nila. And all the time, they are forced to think about their positions all the time kasi the charge is coming from different ends. So I don't know kung hindi pa yun yung isa sa pinaka-strong expressions of political participation and hindi pa yun yung pinaka-creative, hindi ko na alam kung hindi pa yun creative at strong sa
But I
lagay na
mean, obviously these things like this take time. I mean, when you consider the fact that we're talking about the solid north here, and the Marcoses are still there, so the influence, their cachet, is still really quite huge, But have you looked at also how this is also true or not among the Duterte loyalists, so-called? Kung ano yung, anong, put another way, ano yung kaibahan o pagkakatulad ng mga nararanasan ng mga bata doon sa Solid North at saka itong sa mga Duterte supporters? I mean, is there some connection or comparison?
Yeah, I can only speculate, Sir Galoy, kasi I haven't done any kinds of research with political actors from Davao.
Mm-hmm.
Although may mga nakausap ako from Mindanao in past other works of mine, pero I can only speculate in terms of this very affective emotional mindset. I think the common thread would be feelings of marginalization. And also alongside that, a certain sense of identification with that particular politician. I'll give you again one example, Sir Kaloy. Meron akong matandang participant. And senior citizen siya na self-identified Marcos loyalist. Sabi niya, nung bata daw siya, hindi daw alam ng mga, marami daw may hindi alam kung nasan ang Ilocos. Akala daw nila yung Ilocos nasa Visayas or nasa ibang parte ng Pilipinas. Pero, when Ferdinand Marcos rose as a very promising politician, Ferdinand Marcos Sr., during his time, that made him put Ilocos on the map. So, nalaman ng mga tao kung nasaan ang Ilocos dahil sumikat bilang isang politiko si Apulahay noon. And during his birthday, napakaraming dadayong mga turista sa iba't ibang parte ng Pilipinas, pupunta sila sa Ilocos Norte para umattend doon sa birthday celebration niya. Kasi lahat ng pamilya, uuwi sila at kakaway sa mga tao kapag birthday na ni Apulahay. At yung mga taga malayong probinsya na otherwise wala namang pakialam sa Ilocos Norte, lalo na Batak, Ilocos Norte, pupunta sila
Mhm.
doon para lang makita si Apulahay. So para meron certain sense of marginality na nabawasan dahil dito sa mga politikong ito.
Yeah.
And marami na nagsasabi ng ganun doon sa case ni former President Rodrigo Duterte na isa siyang Mindanaoan president, ang packaging niya sa sarili niya ay outside elite siya noong tumakbo siya ng 2016. I'm not like the Metro Manila political elites. Ako ay ordinaryong tao lamang. So doon pa lang meron na ka ng certain sense of identification. Idagdag mo pa, na totoo naman kasing napaka-Manila-centric ng politika sa Pilipinas.
Yeah. Yeah, that that helps these regional politicians really cultivate yung ano nila, that narrative, that image. Well, meron definitely may parallelism na nakikita or comparisons na nakikita, no? And I think also I mean, I lived in Davao also for 10 years when Duterte was mayor, so I kind of see that. And ang difference lang ngayon, I think, is that the way his supporters now are going to town with all of these crazy sometimes claims is just well, mind blowing. I mean, for instance, this this never ending claim that Davao had become the Singapore because of Duterte. I mean, you can probably say that in Ilocos when Marcos was president, right? But it's so different from what Duterte did. Yung Ash, I'm sorry, yung isa sa mga gusto kong itanong sa'yo dito is that, okay, Solid North, medyo extreme siguro na yun na case, but also there's this something in Davao, and obviously sa other regions in the country may mga ganyan-ganyan din, no? Pero tingin mo ba itong na-detect mo na I would say trends in how young people, particularly Gen Z, are trying to bridge that polarized landscape using whatever means at their disposal? Is that something you expect to also take place in other places?
Yes. The definite answer, at least for me, Sir Kaloy, is yes. And nakalimutan ko palang meron pala akong isasagot sana dun sa tanong mo kanina kung bakit maraming mga Pilipino ang para akala natin ay nagkikibit balikat pagdating sa mga ganitong katiwalian
Issues,
sa
yeah.
media.
Oh.
Yes. Kahit ibabalik ko yung parang different forms of political engagement ng mga tao and yung interest ko on what we call everyday politics. So minsan, yung mga tao talaga, highly engaged sila, just not in the ways that are very apparent and legible to people like
Unlike
us.
us.
Yeah, to
Oh.
people like us na middle class educated. Although I myself come from that space circle kasi yung family ko very working class sa probinsya. So, yung tatay ko bus conductor, tapos yung nanay ko ay
Mhm.
public school teacher habang lumalaki ako. So, naiintindihan ko din yung ganun. So, growing up, meron din ako mga naririnig-rinig from my family and my surroundings na mga eventually na-realize ko na very political pala talaga. Although, from the lens of um, scholarly, middle class, professional lens, parang hindi siya ganun ka-apparent. So, Yung everyday politics, ito yung mga nakasanayan ng mga pag-uusap ng mga tao na sila mismo pwedeng hindi nila sabihin na political yung usapan na yun. So for example, meron kang politiko na kapag Pasko na, yung mga ibibigay sa'yo ay
Mhm.
yung mga freebie na galing lang din sa business niya.
Okay.
Yeah. So for example, yung politiko po na yun ay meron siyang piggery or something or meron siyang cake shop, mga ganyan. Tapos pag Pasko, kailangan galing sa cake shop niya. Yung mga
Marketing lang
ibibigay
yan.
na, oo. Tapos sasabihin nila, ano ba naman yan? Sinabi, ano ba naman yan? Ang pangit-pangit na nga ng lasa ng cake na to. Ito na naman. Tapos ito na naman next year. Tapos gusto lang nilang kuriputin tayo dito, something like that. So may common sentiment ng mga Pilipino. It's also very cultural. Yung
Okay.
mga ano ba naman yan. But it's also very political kasi that means that they also know that the bake shop was chosen kasi isa yun sa forms of rent seeking also
Of
and then
course.
profit making ng politiko, and they know that, and by making that statement na ilalabas nila, and they enact a certain reality of parang recognition among other people too na kausap nila.
Yeah.
Parang mahirap siya talagang i grasp at the moment,
Mhm.
Sir Kaloy. Pero kung iisipin mo, kapag kausap mo sila, napaka-creative and tactical din ng engagement nila. Kasi especially kung yung politiko na yun, mayor for example, siya rin yung nagbibigay for example ng binhi sa inyo kapag anihan na, ay kapag magtatanim na kayo. So, outrightly, mahirap for you na very overtly
Yeah,
um,
yeah,
i-contradict siya. Kasi
yeah.
kailangan
May
mo ng
matatamaan.
kailangan mo ng binhi.
or
Pero
ito
alam niyo sa
siguro
sarili ninyo
delikadesa
kung
mo
ano
na
talaga
lang.
yung yeah. So, kakausapin mo na lang yung mga kasama mo.
Yeah,
Tapos kayo na
yeah.
lang yung magbabanter. Tapos iinom nyo na lang yan. Tapos pag
That's true.
uusapan nyo na lang siya at pupulutanin nyo na lang siya sa inuman. Parang ganun.
So
So,
it's not really true or accurate to just dismiss all of this as yung nga nagkikibit-balikat lang itong mga Pilipino na to. I mean, obviously there's a lot of context to try to explain, I don't know what do we call it, apathy, indifference. Ang tendency kasi lalo na in this very very polarized environment right now, ang tendency mo kasi is ang lalo na kasi nga nangyari ngayon Marcos, Duterte, strong feelings, strong emotions about that. So, kasi ano ka, Duterte ka, kasi ano ka. So, I mean, everything seems to be kayang i-explain ng mga tawag dito, ng mga adherents in really stark terms. But yun nga, sa sinasabi mo, merong mas underlying tawag dito na texture pa ng pag-iintindi dapat.
yes. And it takes a lot of discernment also to know the kinds of patron-client relationships that you have with your politician. So para just to make the language more intelligible, I guess. Parang kailangan mo ng malalim na pag-uunawa sa kung paano gumagalaw ang lipunan para maintindihan mo kung ano yung nakukuha mo doon sa mayor at kung ano yung ine-expect niyang ibigay mo sa kanya. So kung ano
Mhm.
yung nakukuha mo ay binhi, for example, ang ine-expect din, alam mo na ang ine-expect ng politician na ibigay mo in return ay loyalty or ikampanya mo siya kapag election na.
Mhm.
At malalim na political awareness, Sir Kaloy, ang kailangan mo para makita mo yon na ikaw ay magsasaka, malalim ang political awareness mo, alam mo na ganito gumagalaw ang lipunan, pero merong mga pressing material concerns na nahihirapan kang um, i-contest yung ganong
Mhm.
klase ng structure, lalo
Yeah.
kung mag-isa mo lang. At lalo, Sir Kaloy, kung may climate change na isang bagyo lang, mawawalan ka ng kita. Like, literally. Ang tawag namin sa Ilocos dyan ay amusay subsub. So, parang mag-ano ka, like, something. Hindi ko siya ma-explain. Pero, parang isang malaki expression of sayang.
Okay. Okay, that's interesting. Although, I mean, madali na, for somebody like myself na, you know, sometimes I pride myself of thinking na at least I know the issues. Parang madali lang mag-draw ng line, ano. Okay, sinuporta mo si Duterte ka, dapat wala ka sa sphere ko. Sinuporta mo si Marcos, I don't give a hoot about you. 'Di ba? Sa marami tayong ganyan eh. But sa sinasabi mo, sa mga taong, yun nga, may mga lived experiences, lived reality sa mga communities na to, it's obviously much more complicated than that. Pero ang tanong ko sa iyo, Ash, ngayon is that at what point do people, you know, draw the line? Regardless of whatever, kung ano yung benefit na nakukuha nila from these politicians, kahit na sabihin na natin na may grumblings among themselves sometimes na yung cake nila ang pangit, ang hindi masarap, pero kinakain pa rin nila. And then that
Mhm.
the connection would be maintained, di ba? So,
Mhm.
saan kaya mabi-break yung ano na yan? Saan kaya mabi-break yung connection na yan? At what point? Tingin mo?
Ay, ang hirap niyang tanong, Sir Kaloy. Kasi ako din, hindi ko rin alam ang tanong. Pero ang alam ko lang, kailangan natin i-recognize na very effective talaga ang pagturing ng mga Pilipino sa politika. So ngayon, kung mag-fact check tayo, kailangan may affective dimension din dyan. So for example, kapag nalalaman ng mga napakarabing tao na naiwan yung nanay ni Ferdinand Marcos Sr. sa Pilipinas nung umalis ang buong pamilya niya,
Oh,
parang
yeah. Yeah.
they are taken aback na parang bakit mo iiwan yung, yung nanay mo na matanda na? Hindi ba para ang pangit nun? And
Mhm.
dahil nga yung research ko, Sir Kaloy, ay tumawid din siya hanggang early this year, ang concern naman ay bakit nag-aaway naman 'tong magkapatid na ito?
Interesting. Yeah.
Yep. So, yung atake mo dun para lang i-penetrate, for example, yung bubble of um, myth-making na ginagawa ng napakaraming mga politiko in other parts of the Philippines also ay kailangan may affective dimension din siya. Kaya yung usapin ngayon sa mga Nepo baby, napakalakas din niya kasi affect din yung tinutumbok nun. So hindi either parang disbelief na bakit ang yaman pala nyo? Or
Mhm.
shock. All of these are emotions. And then sabi ng mga taga-suporta ng mga politiko na to, hay nako, naiinggit lang kayo, pero ang inggit ay isang emotion din.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Na
true.
dino out nyo dahil sipopost kayo ng mga luxury goods ninyo. So, ayun yung parang more practical political dimension of the kind of work I am
Yeah.
trying to do.
Well,
Circle.
to wrap this up, I really don't know what we can tell our listeners and viewers about, kind of what they should do at this point. But it's really interesting to hear from you, yung mga ganitong perspectives at saka based nga sa research mo, sa study mo, no? And I certainly hope na marami pa sa atin, lalo na sa ibang regions, ang mga apektadong regions sa Mindanao or sa Visayas, can take some instruction from this. Any panghuling salita about this?
Hmm.
Hmm.
Parang ang hirap. Ano ba ang final? Ang final words po ay importante ang emosyon. So, ang politika ay hindi lang lamang high-level form of politics na kung ano yung nangyayari sa congressional hearings, sa kung ano yung mga tapatan ng mga witness, at ng mga nililitis, at ng mga congress people, at mga senador mo. Kasi ang politics din ay nag-exist din siya dun sa mga pang-araw-araw na mga conversations, at nag-exist din siya in our um, deepest of emotions. And those emotions can be hope, um, love, anger, hate, nostalgia. And for us to be able to engage meaningfully in politics, we also have to sit with our emotions and decide which emotions right now should we listen to. So parang ganon. Ay, naman,
Parang
na para ako naging psychologist tuloy, Sir Kaloy.
parang
Ano yun
parang
ako,
sarap
psychologist?
parang sarap manood uli ng ano yung Disney movie about emotions.
Inside out.
Inside Out. Oo, paborito ng anak ko yan. But Ash, salamat ng marami for your insight on this one. I hope may mga natutunan tayo. I certainly may natutunan ako and I can't wait to read more of your stuff in the coming days. Mga kaibigan, Ash Presto, studying for his PhD in Canberra, Australia, a sociologist, renowned sociologist in the Philippines. Magandang gabi, Ash, and hopefully one of these days makabalik ka dito sa Pilipinas and magkape na tayo.
Yes.
Salamat.